Hey people, here's some free advice. When you're making videos, make sure your mic isn't muted. Gosh darn it. Okay, so quickly going over what my first video was supposed to be talking about before I screwed it up. You have a rough draft, now due on Wednesday since I'm making so many egregious blunders today. And it is 500 words. That seems like it might be a lot, and maybe it is, maybe it isn't. I don't think it is, but then again, I'm your teacher. But the biggest thing is I don't want you to get freaked out by this assignment. I know we have a shorter time than we were supposed to do this work, but I'm a little more forgiving this time. Not saying that you can turn in crap work, but just saying that if you have, the basic structures of what I'm looking for, even if it isn't pretty and polished and, like proofread 500 times, as long as you have the real bones of what I'm looking for here, I'm willing to be pretty flexible. All right, so you can choose to start this however you want to. If you like to do introduction, body paragraph 1, body paragraph 2, all the way down the line, you can do that. If you want to start with your body paragraphs and then go back and do an introduction, you can do that too. It's kind of however you feel comfortable, just to get these 500 words on the page. So as for body paragraphs, if you're not entirely sure how to structure them, there's really 4 important parts. First, you have your topic sentence, and we've been doing topic sentences for a long time now, making sure that they are, in fact, a sentence, a statement, no questions, just the statement you make a claim. Then once you make your claim, you explain your claim. So you talk about the things you need to talk about in order to clue your audience in to what that paragraph is truly there for or truly needs to explain. Then you provide evidence from source to back up what you're saying, and then you explain how that evidence supports your claim or explain what the evidence is doing there, because remember, you can't just pop in a quote and expect people to know what exactly you're trying to prove with it. You have to explain it. So if you look at my model document, this was the planning guide that I provided as a model the other day, and I decided to take my claim number 2, and I have some limited text here. I know you guys, a lot of you had more than that, but I decided to turn it into a paragraph in order to sort of, again, model what it is you need to be doing. So in the orange, because the text up here is orange, I have my topic sentence, and it says, in unique circumstances, the definitions of good and evil are flexible. So then all this stuff that's unhighlighted is my explanation of that. So in a post-apocalyptic society, it would be nearly impossible to hold human beings to the same standards of goodness as they used to be held to, since they would no longer have access to the same resources as they had previously. It is easier to be a good person when basic needs like having food, shelter, and water are met, but when a person is having a daily struggle for survival, they are suddenly forced to take actions that would previously have been considered antisocial. Goodness in the road is primarily defined as limiting as much hurt and damage to others as possible, though there may still be some hurt or damage, on a case-to-case basis. Evil, then, is no longer defined simply as causing intentional harm, but inflicting cruel, inhuman, and torturous harm on others, as the blood cults do. So that's sort of me explaining why good and evil are flexible in an apocalyptic society. And now the light green stuff is my lead in and my lead out of my quote, because again, you can't just plunk that quote in there and expect people to know what it means. So I'm saying the boy is always worried about whether or not he and the man are good or evil, and on page 128 he has a fearful conversation with the man about the lengths they would go to survive. So that's saying what that quote is going to be doing. Then we have the quote, we wouldn't ever eat anybody, would we? No, of course not. No matter what? No matter what. Because we're the good guys. Yes. And then there's my internal citation, because you need internal citations, author's last name and the page number. And then my explanation of the quote, that 4th part. In this case, the boy sees being good as not going so far as to eat another human being, even in the case of starvation. In a typical society, this idea would be so far gone as to be ridiculous to talk about, but it is a very real, very evil possibility in this society. Right? So, I mean, if in the day-to-day world you ask your parents, Mom and Dad, are we going to eat somebody, are we going to do that? Like, can we never do that? They look at you like, what are you talking about? Eating people? Gross. What? But in this society, it's actually a very real possibility, all right? Because good and evil are flexible. One thing I want to talk about later on, probably this week, is this formatting stuff. I don't actually want you to format quotes like they do in the book, like in a big like line or column down the page. I would rather have you write them in lines across the page. And when you start a conversation by doing that, you have the double quotation marks. And then when each new person speaks, you use the single quotation marks. So it's the beginning of the conversation, quotation marks. Single quote, the boy says, "We wouldn't ever eat anybody, would we?" Single quote. Then it's the man. Single quote. "No, of course not." Single quote. The ellipses is here because I omitted some of the conversation. There was some of it that was just sort of filler and I didn't want it, so I took it out with the ellipses. And then again, the boy, single quote, no matter what, single quote. All right, so you're going to have to do some legwork if you're not sure who exactly is talking in the quote that you want to pick. Make sure that you sort of parse that out so that you can format the stuff. And like I said, the internal citation is just the last name and the page number. Nothing more, nothing less. McCarthy 128 or McCarthy 246 or whatever it is. Okay, so that was the video you were supposed to get. Hopefully this is a bit helpful. Again, if you need any help, do it sooner rather than later because, I put up that Google Meet the other day, nobody joined it. And so that just makes me assume that you all are confident in what you're doing. And if you come to me on the due date and you're saying, "I'm not confident with what I'm doing. I don't know what I'm doing at all. I didn't even start it. Can you please help me?" It's a bit late. All right. I have other things I need to get going, other classes I need to teach. And today, if you have a question today, ask me today. If you have a question tomorrow, ask me tomorrow. Don't wait until, Wednesday at 10:30 p.m. because I won't even be looking at my email being like, "Mrs. Canny, I don't know what I'm doing." That's what today and tomorrow and even Wednesday from 9 until noon are for, right? Google Meet, Google Hangout, emails, whatever. I'm here to help. I'm not trying to leave you to the wolves, right? Thanks much.